What up, martial arts people of the internet? Next week is the second part of my documentary gonna drop. We talk about the founders of all the like classical Eastern martial arts styles. So we have Wing Chun, then we have Judo, Shotokan, Kyokushin, and all these things. And there is a woman involved in the creation of one of those martial arts styles, so to speak. And I thought, why not react to the style of Kung Fu that she also has been a big influence to, which is White Crane Kung Fu. And this is what we're going to look into today, in today's Sunday documentary reaction. So let's enjoy ourselves. So far, all these things look like the arts part in martial art. Fair enough, let's go.
90年代初啦，咁啊有啲朋友喺網站就睇到就上嚟揾，就摸上我教練灣寫字樓嗰度，咁啊嗰陣時就開始教啦，咁啊慢慢咧一個繼續一個咧，咁啊先至就正式。
That's actually a useful throw. Pull that off.
我教嘅功夫係學法，俗稱白鶴拳，係我哋福建七大傳統拳種。
Interesting. Did you hear what he said? He said
俗稱白鶴拳。
Baokyun. Kyun means something like fist. The Kung Fu style that I did for a couple of years was Hunggar Kyun, Hunggar Kung Fu, which is like translated to the family style of the Hung family. And Kyun means like fist, so it's also kind of translated like boxing. So Hung boxing, which is southern style like White Crane boxing.
單從外邊動作睇，詠春白鶴拳咧就梗係無華，但係佢講究象形取義，外形而做，但係內勁難求。我學嘅學法係承自福建漳州自然統，自然統係我師祖張聰榮從詠春移民去漳州用嘅名字。佢喺漳州開始教功夫，所有佢傳出嚟嘅弟子咧，都係用掛自然統詠春白鶴嘅冠名。因為詠春白鶴拳嘅歷史咧有380幾年，咁啊喺福建嚟講影響比較大嘅。
Sticky hand drill you saw there, here in the background, sticky hands. In Hunggar, that would be the animal of the tiger. It would be associated with. Because you would make the tiger claw here, and then you would do like this moves here. And you could do this also with a partner, like you see here, then it's a little bit more soft and try to really use that stickiness that you're not tensed. And in any martial arts that you're picking up, the teacher will always say, don't be tense, don't be like this. Always be soft, because when you are soft, then the other one cannot do anything with you. Kind of move you in a certain direction, because it's just like water. That's something pretty useful to do, yeah, as a drill.
10幾年，咁啊喺福建嚟講影響比較大嘅。
And there's another thing I want to mention here. A lot of times when I see now in kickboxing, my teacher told me, or one of the instructors that teaches us told me, I really enjoy sparring with you because you are always soft. And that's something I learned in my time in Hunggar. Soft sparring, or with guys, it's always, you punch once a little bit harder, than you were intended to. Bam, you raise up the ante. And then the other one thinks, what the fuck are you doing, man? I'm gonna beat you. Then, bam. The same happens. So, bam, 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 bam. And then it's escalated. And then you don't necessarily learn something. What happened? A guy in my kickboxing class did this. He sparred the instructor, and the instructor said, yeah, well, okay, I can handle it. Maybe you can handle it too. And then, bam, bam. And what happened? The student really run into a head kick of the instructor and bam, knocked out. Because you need to learn this. It's really important that you're not letting yourself like bring you in that place that you lose control over your emotions and you let this happen. If you can control this, you control the opponent, and it's very, very important. I know I can do this, but I lack the ability to escalate myself on purpose. That's what I need to learn now. And yeah, we're digressing.
福建亦都係國內南方武術發源地之一。閩南嘅農村保留咗好多南方古典武藝嘅蹤跡，尤其係兵器兇面。我哋今日好多謝呢個熱心嘅鄉里。
Can be traced back to Fujian, yes, but there are, I think, 3 places that can be, or they're supposed to be the birthplace of the southern Shaolin Temple, if there ever has been any. So take that with a bit of salt.
身入邊都冇路入嚟嘅，仲要經過人哋嘅工廠，所以好辛苦先揾到，好熱心，好多謝佢。而大佑咧就係明朝嘅出名嘅軍事家、武術家，就係福建泉州人嚟㗎。咁啊，佢最大嘅功勞咧喺軍事上咧就係同阿戚繼光就抗倭平定倭寇嘅參犯。喺武術上咧，佢就將南方嘅武術就帶翻去北方，南北武術嘅交融。最突出咧就佢將佢擅長嘅棍術帶咗去北少林，喺北少林咧廣傳咗應用嘅棍法。咁佢將軍部嘅武術兵器就融合南北一齊發揮咗作用嚟。佢出名嘅武術著作咧就係劍經，劍經咧就將佢本身後生時咧跟唐安人李龍欽學嘅經咗長劍，就將佢嘅心得就著作咗一本叫《劍經》。呢本《劍經》咧對後來南方武術或者講中國武術影響好大，嘅棍法甚至兵法、拳術都好多人用咗佢入邊嘅理論去發揮。啲南方嘅武術中喺兵器嚟講咧，多數咧就
It's interesting. You see here, this kind of robe is traditional for like southern Kung Fu styles, I would say, at least in the style that I practice in Hunggar and I know also in Shaolin Hunggar. This kind of traditional, it's not a robe, like upper body part clothing, shows like the Sifu stage. I think in Shaolin Hunggar it's red. So you have the red borders here, at least my friend Sifu Cuddle wears it in red, and the instructors the instructors in my Hunggar school, they were also red borders here, and the Sifus would wear it in gold or yellow, like you see here. So I would assume this here is now a man having the Sifu title.
棍為寶，棍法咧演化出嚟嘅爬勾鐮槍，佢入邊都有啲
Yeah, you see here now, or yeah, instructor. I think that's now the red. Yeah.
喺長兵器嚟講咧，應該就係以
Never learned this
劍經
weapon,
入邊嘅
but
內
it
容
looks
嘅
cool.
技術為主要，作為嘅指導思想嚟嘅。
But it's crazy, man. A lot of those
寫咗
a lot of those movements you also have with the staff.
一本劍經，係南方武術最重要嘅著作之一，對後世有深遠嘅影響。閩南各地嘅流傳棍法，基本上咧。
Well, let me know if you ever learned the staff. That would be interesting for
但
me.
係好遺憾，
Or if I should do like a short video on that.
400幾年嚟，已經到今時今日已經冇人可以完整嘅
Nice
呈現咗
fighting,
原來
yeah.
由原來 劍經嘅內容啦。
Choreography.
福建嘅武術同其他中國武術都係一樣。
Okay, here it's not the
係
case
兩大類。
with the
喺拳術
Sifu
方
and the
面咧，我
colors.
哋前傳統就以爆拳為核心。
咏春百二强的他的祖师爷呢是一个女孩子叫方七良，她的方七良她本来是跟她父亲学少林拳，但是说方七良她平时在织布，有一天有一只白鹤跑到前面，她是用那个织布的梭子给它扔过去，白鹤呢就是用翅膀给它弹开，方七良就感觉很奇怪，白鹤为什么会那个翅膀那个弹抖的劲那么厉害，他就经常观察那只白鹤的那个翅膀啦、脚法啦、那个脚的方法啦，所以从那个用白鹤的给它参悟出来，融合到那个少林拳里面进去，就演化成自己独具一派的白鹤拳，发展了。
Yeah, it's interesting how the people learn from the animals. There's another story I want to tell you that was told to me by my Hunggar instructor. It's a pretty funny one. So the story goes like this. In Hunggar there are a lot of, or in Kung Fu there are a lot of animals, you know that. And in Hunggar there are 5. And my instructor always, he told this story several times. It's about a duck. My instructor used to work in a shipwharf, in a shipwreck. Or in a harbor, in a little harbor in his village where he grew up, and he worked in the family business there, with ships and on a lakeside point of view, so to speak. And once there was a duck on the ship that he was working on. He wanted to pull the ship out of sea to the land, and the duck and their children were in place. They were there with their nest. I don't know how to say it in English. And he wanted to remove the nest where the children of the duck were from the ship so that he could pull off and he could continue to work. But the mother duck was so intentional about protecting her children, and he told it like the duck was walking towards him like, bum bum, what do you want? I'm gonna fight you until death. And he was like, and in retrospect, it's completely ridiculous. You know that because, man, I mean, a duck this size and my instructor, man, a normal-sized man, yeah, you know what I mean. But the intention, how this duck was walking towards him, made him so insecure that he backed off in the stories, and that's something that I think I will remember this story for the rest of my life, and that's something that we can use for fighting this experience from the duck. That's something that we can take from the animal world to like the real world. I mean, it's not that you look like how a duck is fighting. That's not the purpose, and I think that's also not the purpose of all the animal styles. I mean, that's ridiculous, right? Because yeah, we're not a monkey. We are a human, still an animal, but something completely different, right? And have that in mind when talking about like Kung Fu styles or styles that are based on animal movements. That's about maybe a concept and not the actual movement, how an animal works or an animal fights.
是明末清初发展到現在呢，已經300多年啦。
就當時咧就唔係叫做學拳嘅，我哋當時叫學法，因為拳就有一個固定嘅形式招式。法咧就空法技術，三法就比較內在嘅內容嚟嘅。就傳統嘅功夫咧，就應該喺民國初年咧，喺漳州應該屬於就比較多人學嘅，就影響力比較大。因為我師公本身咧就思想開通，肯教。咁啊，佢喺龍溪國術館。喺漳州嘅精武會就擔任主教師嚟嘅，咁佢嘅思想開通，所有其他門派嘅師傅個工會佢都可以請佢入嚟開班俾佢教， 就冇分咩門派，冇分輩份嘅，就所以喺影響力好大。咁啊，自然統嘅功夫除咗佢前一代就傳落嘅詠春白鶴拳之外咧，佢嘅兵器就多數係屬於軍部嘅。佢又吸收咗北方好嘅嗰啲棍啊、槍啊、勾鐮啊、大刀啊都有。邊個師傅喺漳州功夫好嘅、有特色嘅，佢都會請翻嚟教俾啲學生。所以自然統嘅功夫咧就比較豐富。
我叔啊，帶我去邊啊？
而家帶你去1969年李師公教你功嘅地方，即係我哋第一間館。係。就之前咧就開皮練㗎。
The quality is super, right?
而家自己租翻層樓。
That's something that I recognized when we did, or when we started this Sunday documentary series. The documentaries that we watched in the first couple of sessions were like quality-wise, but I mean the Chinese documentaries, they're really bam bam. They're really firing the quality up, man. That's really cool. Really enjoy watching it. Hope you do too.
就後座嚟嘅，咁我哋嗰陣時就喺度練啦。我師傅鄭文龍1957年嚟咗香港，就喺北角一間裝個鋪掛牌做跌打醫生。咁我本身係中意功夫，後尾嚟咗香港，本地話唔識，又唔識本地嘅師傅。咁啊，又啲鄉里講咧，我當時住喺春翠街嘅，我師傅喺周華街，聽講街坊咧有個同鄉識功夫嘅，就好功夫，咁咧就走去揾佢，咁啊傾下就跟咗佢學嘢啦。呢個就我師傅講教嘅學生就好多，幾百人、成千人有，但係都做好短期嘅，因為我哋呢門功夫比較枯燥、辛苦啲、悶啲，所以一般後生仔咧都好難學得落。
It's the same with every Kung Fu style.
1984年我哋結束間館咧，都係10個8個喺度。應該喺90年代嘅後期啊，有次同啲武林界嘅朋友出嚟飲茶喺度傾，咁佢哋就話：我哋福建人就冇人出嚟教拳。我諗咪係，我師傅1984年咧翻到福建咧就過咗身啦。喺香港我啲師兄弟有啲係做生意，有啲係打工，有啲移咗民，真係冇人出嚟教。我就喺度諗，如果出嚟教，咁師傅啲功夫先可以傳落嚟。如果冇，咁啊唔通到我哋呢代人咧就失咗咩？咁啊覺得自己有責任心，有個傳承嘅心意。咁啊嗰陣時開始咧，我就揾結。
That's something that I was told as well. That it's hard for traditional martial arts nowadays because of all the Western like kind of martial arts styles, or not even styles, methods, teaching methods. Like for example, MMA or mixed martial arts is a huge part in marketing, modernization of the whole martial arts scenes. But there's also like in the 80s, 90s, boxing, kickboxing, BJJ nowadays. That is a threat to traditional martial arts because most of the time it's more boring for young people. And I noticed I was one of the only young guys in like early 20s that did Kung Fu. I think there were people that came, but just for a couple of months. Or yeah, youngsters, a couple of months joined the gym, but then they quit. And if you lose something, or if you just, in my opinion, at least, that's different from the traditional point of view. If you just try to give knowledge that you learned, you will ultimately you lose it because you will never learn as much as the person before if you don't bring your own thoughts in it and you don't develop it in a certain way or in a certain extent. And I'm always told this is the way how to do it. This is how you can solve the problem of, for example, jab, punch, uppercut, whatever, coming into the teachings. And the logical reasoning behind this was, I can't know because I didn't make enough experience. And that is to a certain point true, yes, but the people who are in high level of martial art, they should always, when they pass something down, look to improve it in a certain way or adapt it. If they don't do this, then the people below you will never learn as much as you know. It's simply not possible, or they will do something in another way, or just didn't take the grasp like you did. And ultimately, if you do this long enough, you will lose it. And that's, I think, what you're experiencing now with a lot of traditional martial arts. It's kind of sad, but it's the way if you don't adapt, then yeah.
咁希望佢哋能夠咧將我哋功夫傳落嚟。咁呢啲講開又係自己個心意。教拳咁多年嚟，跟我學嘅學生唔少，但係真係咧，可以一路咧跟到今時今日咧，都係10個8個。其中咧有啲人彷徨過，有啲人咧心大心細，有啲人學完又翻嚟。但係我相信透過不斷嘅學習練習，學拳咧漸漸咧同佢哋咧都融埋一齊啦。我相信對佢哋人生或者工作學習方面咧，可以起咗好多積極嘅正面影響。我都好安慰。我喺教會嘅中間咧，我自己都學咗好多嘢，啟發咗好多嘢。喺咁嘅情況下咧，大家共同嘅進步，就一路將白學拳傳承落去。
我諗對於普通開頭學嘅人咧，會覺得悶悶地，但係對於我哋帶藝想喺新跟佢學緊嘅人咧，就會覺得都比較好有趣味，因為佢會解釋李江師傅係好有心，亦都好詳細解釋翻點解我要做呢個動作。咁啊，其餘可能有啲可以話我學咗即係咁多嘅功夫啦，都聽過唔同嘅人講，即係有啲師傅都即係可以收收埋埋噶嘛。咁啊，李江師傅係唔收收埋埋人咯。
Yeah, if you do this, if you hide and conceal things or techniques, then you're just a moron. I mean, you want to pass down. Nobody's gonna come to you and say, "I want to learn from you. Please tell me all you want to know." That's not how it works anymore. Maybe it used to work like this in the old days, back in the old days of good old Kung Fu, but it's not. It's not anymore. You have to. I mean, marketing nowadays is completely different, right? Marketing nowadays is you have to give almost your best product for free to lure in or to attract people, that they come to you, and maybe then you can convince them that your service that is paid them is from some value. That's not the same, and yeah.
問佢嘅話咧，佢就一定會答。
咁因為江叔成日話我，你以前學空手道嘅人太過硬要鬆啲，咁樣佢即係叫做係設計啲動作俾我啦。
Yeah, I mean, the karate is something different.
人先至可以學到即係白學拳裏邊啲嘢嘅。咁但係都繼續落去，冇講乜嘢嘅，佢即係冇話你鬆咗，或者你或者係緊咗，或者你學咗點樣去講嘅。但係喺從過程中，佢叫我你學呢套拳，你學呢套拳，學呢套拳啦。咁兵器方面又叫我學棍刀各方面嘅嘢啦。
呢10幾年我睇住佢都係進步緊，因為佢唔係一個墨守成規嘅人，佢都係一啲好新思維、好開放嘅人。咁佢唔會固步自封咯，我覺得佢唔會。咁佢突然之間有啲嘢諗到嘅，咁我覺得我識佢有幾個階段。咁第一個佢係最壯年嘅階段。咁當其時佢嗰個即係年輕啦叫做，咁變咗咧佢嗰個技術嘅配合咧，可能同個體能有關。咁但係到依家咧，咁佢個年長咗啦，變咗咧佢喺身體裏邊嘅功夫咧，啲骨架嘅轉動腰脊嘅轉換剛柔嘅變化咧，咁佢反而仲內斂咗。我覺得係有幾個階段嘅唔同嘅變化。咁但係每一個階段咧，我都喺佢身上學到好多嘢。
詠春白學拳經過300幾年嘅傳承，咁已經流傳咗好多地方，特別係台灣、海外有華人嘅地方、福建人去到嘅地方，甚至沖繩、日本都有福建白學拳嘅蹤跡。
這兩張照片呢是去
It has been a huge influence in karate style, while training boxing.
馬來西亞，當時
I think Jesse Encamp made a video about this where he explores this. Recommendation if you're gonna search like karate nerd in China, I think, or something. It's the video called. It's really cool, really cool.
但係經過時間演化，沉寂咗一段時間，就近10年20年嚟咧，海外咧武術界，不過中外嘅武術界、中日嘅武術界 對中國武術有理解嘅咧，就好多人開始知道影中八極拳呢樣嘢，開始咧翻嚟尋找探索福建影中八極拳嘅內涵。呢幾年前去波蘭前歐洲空手道聯盟總會，就叫我走去講個雙梅拿。南派武術，特別係廣東武術咧，個個都話係福建少林傳出嚟嘅。咁多年我嘅觀察，好多廣東拳，即係香港嘅廣東拳啦、南派功夫啦，就特別點橋點馬嘅，好多同影中。
Short stance, what do you mean with short stance? Short stance, like higher stances? And compared to the south, to the north, every southern style would be short stance. But Hunggar, for example, compared to Wing Chun, is still not short stance. Don't know.
相似嘅地方，乜動作啊、意念啊，或者招式啊、請禮啊，講究入邊啲嘢都有7-8分相似嘅。咁啊，呢幾個跟我學功夫嘅人，多數係之前學過空手道、學過詠春啲太極，咁啊其他比較拳理嘅拳法比較相類似嘅學生多啲。
以前細個咧，即係中學時間玩過空手道嘅，咁啊啲傳說成日都話空手道同福建功夫好有關係。咁啊上網撳掣啦，咁啊就講到詠春八學拳就係來自福建啦。咁同埋好強調嗰種剛柔並濟啊、並重嗰種關係。咁就好想了解下詠春八學拳佢個武拳係三戰啦，即係佢最着重嘅都係三戰啦。即係江叔教我哋都係講緊學拳三戰起，三戰練到死，即係基本上由你學詠春八學拳，直到你死嗰日都係揾緊三戰。OK， 咁所以嗰個三戰嗰個原理、法力嘅基礎，成個身體嘅結構主要都喺嗰度嚟。福建功夫其實大部分都係強調呢樣嘢，其實南派嘅功夫，甚至乎一啲香港嘅廣東功夫都係會有呢啲咁嘅強調身體結構嘅東西。咁但係詠春八學拳特別強調嗰種身體結構，因為佢有個好基礎嘅講法，力從地起啊，嗰啲力點喺個地喺度發展出嚟。咁身體點可以比較有系統地去發呢啲力咧？咁我諗。
A lot of those traditional thoughts or theories about where power is coming from, and I see this now, and I'm really thankful for this that I started in traditional martial arts now. There's also a counterpart to it, so I'm gonna say that, explain that in a second, but where power is coming from, that's the same like you see in combat sports, like just the emphasis is not that much on it, I would say. One of my instructors in kickboxing always tells how to throw the proper punch. Rotate the hips, lift the heel, blah, blah, blah. That is specific to kickboxing, but the roots of it is the same, like in every style, because a punch is a punch. And Matt Fortin has, I think it is Matt Fortin, pretty big martial arts skeptic, saying that there is no Canadian geometry, meaning that if there is something like geometry that is mathematically based, then it's universal. And if the Canadians have their own geometry, then maybe they have something unique to them that works in Canada. Maybe a triangle has not an inner angle sum of 180 degrees, whatever. They have a special triangle just in Canada. But this triangle then wouldn't work in, for example, Germany, because there they don't have this triangle. So it is maybe useful in this specific case in Canada, but not universally. There is no Canadian geometry that is universal. And the same is with martial arts. There are certain concepts and principles that are universal. How you throw a good punch, for example, that generates power from the hips, that's something I would say is universal to every martial art. Maybe they execute it in one or the other way, but other things then, like crazy combinations you see sometimes in traditional martial arts, they don't work, because if they would work, you would see those things in other martial arts disciplines as well. And that's the interesting part. When you look at other martial arts and find common strategies, techniques, that's really, really interesting. But it requires a lot of thinking and analyzing, and that's sometimes not what people want to do because they just want to punch, kick, and fight. And I think that's a little bit sad because that's, yeah, on one side, it's the overthinking of the traditional martial arts and it's the not thinking enough of combat sports, I would say. Maybe I'm a little bit biased there. Correct me in the comments, but that's how I see the things.
詠春爆拳就係有呢種特性喺裏面。咁其他門派或者其他地方嘅國術或者武術啦嚇，譬如空手道咁，我諗佢都會有呢個原理同基礎，都係可能係源自福建，或者佢自己喺當地裏面慢慢啲人經驗咗嗰種點樣發力啊、點樣技擊啊底下再發展出嚟啦。我諗都有種相近性啦嚇。
我希望通過喺嗰度學咗啲學法之後，可以更加好嘅啟發佢本嚟嘅功夫，對佢本嚟學嘅功夫更有幫助。唔好話學咗乜嘢，其實大家功夫嘅心法道理都係一樣嘅，大家互相學習，大家互補長點，咁就係我最感覺安慰嘅地方啦。詠春爆拳就以形入拳，象形取義。咁採訪白學嘅動態、飛鳴縮食，或者佢飲液、拍液、抖身嘅動作融入去武術入邊，達到佢本身咧就少用力嘅技法。咁300幾年來咧，對福建南派武術，甚至整個中國南派武術咧影響好大。依家就有漢化學、剃祖化學、特津化學。點解要咁化學？就係將佢本身比較剛硬、剛猛嘅功夫咧，就吸收咗一啲詠春爆拳入邊嘅三法嘅技法，就融入落去，使到佢本嚟嘅功夫咧更加精進。就呢個係爆拳嘅比較特色嘅地方。依家呢個時候，傳統功夫好多人都覺得唔適合呢個社會嘅需要，冇呢個需要，其實唔係嘅。傳統功夫千百年嚟都每一個社會、每一個時代都有。
No. I disagree here. Traditional martial arts are there since thousands of years, but they evolved over time. They evolved. I mean, if you look at something like Payatu, which is believed to be the oldest martial art, it evolved over time. It doesn't look the same like it did in its starts in I think 200 after Christ, 200 to 400 after Christ, I think, like it did in the 14th and 1600th century, where it had a rise again. If you want to know about those things, then I highly recommend you my documentary that is coming. The first part is where we talk about these things. So yeah, it had evolved, and if you don't want your martial art to be evolved, then you will be loose, and it doesn't fit in this society.
有人修練，特別依家呢個時候咧，緊張嘅社會同埋功利社會咧，我就覺得應該喺幫忙工作、幫忙揾錢嘅時候，生活緊張嘅時候咧，所以
That's the thing that I don't quite get the grasp on. People always tell, especially in these hard times we're facing today, it's hard to make a living. God damn it, people told this shit 10 years ago, they told this. 20 years ago, they told this. 50 years ago. It's always hard to make a living. So that's not an excuse for nothing. I don't know. That triggers me.
就修練自己嘅身心咧，就好過其他嘅活動。所以我覺得唔理係學法又好，其他傳統功夫、太極八卦、形意啊、紅拳最啲，你應該當為一個健身、修身養性嘅一種藝術、一種運動去學習。好幸運，到今時今日，我覺得爆拳唔係淨止我一個人咧喺度努力，我啲學生都係不斷嘅努力，不斷嘅咧喺度探索咗新嘅嘢。喺呢個時候， 佢哋肯咁樣去努力學習，我都好高興。
白學拳喺其他嘅武術嚟講咧，影響咧其實一早喺以前百幾多年前已經開始有影響㗎啦嚇。咁啊，只不過而家我哋現代人咧唔係太過知道嘅啫，即係我哋現代人只不過分門分宗分派啊咁樣去睇嘅啫。咁啊，但係其實咧大家同源不同流咯嚇，始終一句嚇咁啊，所以往後咧我好睇好即係白學拳喺唔同方面嘅發展。
我就都希望啦。即係教白學拳同埋兵器啦，咁就希望多啲人去理解翻中國武術嘅功夫同埋嘅兵器嘅。我都唔想因為冇人去教，就令到每一樣嘢就失傳。咁樣
Yeah, that's another thing. Nobody's teaching it. I'll tell you a story now. I was for a work trip out in Finland. I'm living in Switzerland, so I went to Finland in the north of Europe for a couple of days. And there I always, when I'm in foreign countries, I look for martial arts schools, try to see something new. And I went to a Tashimun school, or I looked what was in the area where I was living a couple of days. I found the Tashimun school, a monkey boxing school, and I was so interested. Wow! And I hit to dude up on Instagram. Hey, dude, can I come? Can I see what you have to offer? What you show to your students? And he told me, yeah, sure, come by. And I gave him the license, and then we learned. And I took one or two things I took with me. And it was so interesting to see, but then I wanted to see if is something in Switzerland around. And in the whole damn country, nobody is teaching Tashin Moon. Nobody. So if I want to learn this Kung Fu style, I need to go to another country. That's crazy. I know people did this back in the days, in the old days. My former master did this. I went to Hong Kong a couple of times a year, but man, I think times are over now that people do this.
我都希望現時嘅人咧就多啲去理解翻一啲歷史啊文化啊，咁去了解多啲呢啲嘢，咁樣就深入啲，然後就去學多啲即係功夫。咁樣我本人就會係努力去教多啲人，令到大家去即係唔好令到呢一樣嘢失傳啦。尤其是白學拳，尤其是我師傅嗰個我師公嚟到香港教咗我師傅，咁樣我師傅就用咗咁多心機，即係教我咁多樣嘢。咁我都唔想因為呢一樣嘢就去到即係教咗我就有啲人就會係學咗就唔去教人嘅，我就唔想咯。我寧願我學咗去教多啲人，等啲人明白原來有呢一樣嘢嘅存在。
香港其實我哋成日都話功夫之都啦，好多人玩功夫啦。不過主要其實廣東拳多。廣東拳嘅圈子或者係武術界嘅朋友都比較多。咁可能國術界自己本身對於武術研究可能都比較着重自己個家。咁我希望其實多啲交流嘅，你要經過交流，你先會豐富一啲知識嘅。
退休後咧都冇咩特別嘢，係有時得閒睇下書，寫下啲嘢，有時睇下人哋嗰啲功夫片啊，睇下電視。咁啊，最緊要就朝頭早就做晨運，每個朝頭早走去邊咧都做1個鐘頭嗰啲晨運。
The old people keep moving.
咁我前幾年咧就將我咁多年學嘅心得草啦，簡單啲寫咗本叫《說真學真》，因為入邊嘅內容咧係我咁多年咧有時做筆記，有時睇到啲嘢，諗到啲嘢，咁啊摘落嚟記錄落嚟嘅，慢慢輯成本書。我呢本書就唔係話咩拳經啊、寶剪秘笈嗰啲嘢，就係希望學過學法嘅或者有興趣研究學法咧，可以通過入邊我寫嘅嘢，又得到啲啟發，又希望大家咧就共同進步啦。
That's it. That was really interesting. Really interesting. So, final words. If you need a fitness program, for example, then we have something to offer for you. It's 50% off your own program for whole body that you can do beside your martial arts training. Or if you don't do martial arts, then it's also something for you because it covers the whole body 3 times a week. Perfect. It's how I achieved my physique. There is also my shop listed down below. Check out the documentary that's coming. That's really something interesting, and I put a lot of damn work in it. And I hope you will enjoy it, and we see us in the next time in a Sunday documentary react. Let's see.